Montreal is known as the city of saints. However, our beloved city has a little secret. I'm here with Farid Renair, who is an architectural historian, writer, and my co-investigator to get to the bottom of this. So Farid, tell me, what is this deal? Apparently, a lot of the streets in Montreal that start with Saint are not actually named after real saints.
Yeah, it's true. So, for example, we're standing on St. Paul Street in Old Montreal. And St. Paul, you might know him as Paul the Apostle, but this street isn't actually named after him. It's named after Paul de Maisonneuve, who is the founder of the city of Montreal.
So Farid and I today are on a mission to discover why some of Montreal's best-known streets are not really named after saints. We're now on St. Denis Street.
I like the way that these saint names are on these streets full of bars. It really shows Montreal's nature.
So, is this a real saint?
Saint-Denis is named after Denis Street, who was a politician around the 1800s. And he was a wealthy landowner, and this street runs through where his land used to be.
So they took a politician's name and then they added saint in front of it.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Like, could you imagine if, like, in 100 or 200 years from now, they name a street Saint Stephen?
Like after Stephen Harper?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be.
He would love it.
That would be really funny.
So to recap, St. Paul, Saint Denis, Saint Urbain, Saint Laurent.
Yeah, actually, Boulevard Saint Laurent is named after a real saint.
Okay.
It's named after the river, the Saint Laurent.
Yeah.
It's named that way because when Jacques Cartier was coming on his ship, they entered the estuary on the Saint Laurent feast day.
Okay.
So that's actually named after a real saint.
And so who was responsible of naming those streets?
Back in the day, this guy, Denis Street, he was the architect of the Notre Dame Church in Old Montreal, and he named the streets around it as saints to lead people to the church. But as we know now, it was just his friends or wealthy people. So
he would name streets after power and wealth?
Yeah, but you know, some of the streets are actually also named after beautiful love stories.
Really?
Yeah. One of them, Sainte Elizabeth.
Okay.
It's quite a beautiful story.
Bonjour. Vous venez visiter les archives?
Oui.
On y va ensemble?
Okay, bon. Who would have thought that this is where we would wind up to hear a beautiful love story? Wow. The Archives of Montreal is a crazy labyrinth of old photos and historical documents, some dating back to 1796. And among the 4 kilometers of documents in the vaults lies the story of a girl named Elizabeth.
So in 1655, 14-year-old Elizabeth was captured by Mohawks. Luckily, in Ville-Marie at the time, Lambert Claus and Dollier de Casson had also captured some Mohawk chiefs. They decided to do a trade, the chiefs for the girls.
Okay, not bad.
But basically what happened is Lambert Claus fell in love with Elizabeth.
Right.
And they got married. But unfortunately, he died in war 5 years later. And Dollier de Casson decided that he would name a street after her. And
well, that's nice.
That's where St. Elizabeth comes from.
We have those beautiful maps, but we have also some textual documents that might be very interesting for you.
Okay.
Beautiful box here. I have 3 files. And one, I think, will be very interesting for you. This is a letter from a member of parliament. He's asking that the city doesn't remove the name Saint Elizabeth.
They wanted to change the name?
Yeah, in this letter he says you should not remove this name because it's in honor of Elizabeth Moyen.
So it was really named after...
It was named after Elizabeth Moyen.
Elizabeth Moyen. But she wasn't a saint.
No.
After digging through the archives, it's time to go to the source, the Notre Dame Basilica. So we're now on Saint François Xavier Street, walking towards the Basilica, and this street also has an interesting story.
Yeah, so this one was actually originally named Saint-François, after François Dollier de Casson, who laid out the streets.
So he named it after himself?
Yeah, he did. Except the bishop at the time in Quebec decided that that wasn't okay, and made him change it to the name of a real saint, Saint-François Xavier.
So we left earlier today to find out why the streets were named after saints and fake saints. And what we've come to realize is that François de Casson's plan when mapping the city was to lead us to the Notre Dame Basilica.
Yeah, and look who's here presiding over it. St. Paul.
Well, no, just Paul.
Oh, yeah. Paul de Maisonneuve, the founder of the city.